Hello, Brother D. How are you? Long time.
I am supposed to be okay.
It will come. I'll go with something that causes a problem.
To comment during the Frankly Speaking show, you first need to open the video that is being streamed live. Look for the chat box on the side or bottom of the video player. This is where you can type your message. Click inside the chat box and use your keyboard to type out what you want to say. You can type words, use emojis, or even ask questions. Once you've typed your message, press the enter key on your keyboard or click the send button.
Good day. Good day. Frankly speaking, it's amazing how much emotion is still out there over the general elections of September 3. The latest results show the JLP as winners with 35 seats to 28 for the PNP. Frankly speaking, the cussing and the celebration, the rumors and the double guessing are continuing. But there are still one or two issues that the EOJ must pronounce on. Today, we will seek to discuss some of the post-election issues and thinking by looking back on Election Day. Welcome to all our viewers and listeners. Thank you for joining us on the Frankly Speaking Jamaica Podcast, episode number 181. Today, September 7, 2025. Remember, we invite your comments and questions throughout the program. Just go to the comment section or follow the instructions given at the start of the program. We have a special guest today, two publishers, journalists, businessmen, Lloyd B. Smith, editor-in-chief and CEO of the Western Mirror newspaper, and Patrick Maitland, editor of the Agriculturalist magazine. Then we have Desmond Richards and Winnie Anderson Brown, regular members of our panel, and we thank them so much. We welcome back Mary Grange and her husband, Duckworth. We'll come into them in a moment. So let's get right into it, starting with our guests. Patrick.
Yes, sir.
Let's start with you. Give us your impression and reflections on the results on Election Day.
Yes, it was expected. The JLP was preaching on its performance, the strong economic growth, the track record, and fiscal discipline. You know, unemployment hit a record low of 3.3%. Poverty dipped from 16 to 8%. And the debt to GDP declined from 140 to about 65% now. So the public did kind of feel, that sort of strength. Not to mention the recent reduction in crime and violence, because that was one of the major setback of the government. And for some reason, the last year they managed to record 40-50% decline in major crime.
You mean this year?
Yes, this year. And also the election promises to cut income tax further and to further hike minimum wage. That to me was something that the public seemed to like. And also the public confidence in the leadership, despite the scandal, the allegations of wrongdoings. Despite that, it's like that never mattered to the public, right?
All right. Lloyd B., let's hear your opener.
Yeah. My view is somewhat different. To begin with, let us bear in mind that some 60% of the electorate did not vote, and that needs to sink in to the discussion. My view is that in this particular instance, what played out was the well-known maxim, all politics is local. And so if you look at the many cases where candidates won, both on the PMP side and on the JLP side, it was clear to me that number one, the choice of candidates played a role in the scheme of things. And secondly, those incumbents who performed reasonably well or creditably well were able to retain their seats. Those who did not lost their seats. In the case of the PMP, I think in some instances, the choice of candidates was not up to par, and that played out in terms of the results. So that for me, it is not just a question of validating the government's overall performance, but rather when you drill down to the nitty-gritty, a lot of what was happening on the ground played a very pivotal role in how this election occurred and the results that were forthcoming. For example, in the yes,
just finish the point,
in
and then
Westmoreland,
Desmond come in.
if you look at Westmoreland, if you look at Hanover, if you look at St. James, and I could go on, in Manchester, because if the PMP were able to have won a few more seats, which it should have won, based on my own trajectory, then the picture would have been different. And when you look at the specific reasons outside of claims of vote buying and voter apathy and people turning away because they could not vote, the reality is that there's sufficient numbers to take some of these candidates over to the winner's circle. Did not happen because of what they offered to the electorate. And I stand by that.
Okay, Desmond.
So I don't buy the argument.
Everything was local. Like B saying the local politics were. Patrick is saying it's performance, solid performance, and promising. Desmond, you had a comment.
Well, one of the things that we must note in this election that the JLP has won, but voters in 14 constituencies voted against the government's policies and programs. And what we must note is that the PNP has doubled its strength, so we should expect a more vibrant parliament. And the other thing that we must also note that the JLP, this third term is going to be a very testing term, because the promises and what I am looking at, I am holding the government to its promises and what it is going to do to improve the lives of the vast majority of PNP and JLP Black people in Jamaica.
All right. Okay. Mary, you wanted a comment, and Mary, you were looking at the elections from elsewhere. And by the way, we're just thanking Philip. Welcome, Philip. Will be on high. Good day and good afternoon, everyone. Mary, you go ahead.
Sir Mac, I believe that the message and the slogan of the JLP made a difference. It was a message that provoked patriotism and a call to a sense of duty to country. And as a Jamaican, yes, I'm a generational laborite, and I will always vote JLP. And I think that the average Jamaican is like me. I must give credit to the PNP supporters, the generational PNP, where Jamaica is traditionally to me a PNP country. So when JLP win, that's called that a victory. I must give thanks to those PNP, generational PNP, who did not go out to exercise their right to vote out performing government. And I give thanks to the few that switched to go out to vote for the performing government, and to all the laborites who went out in their small but very vocal numbers to keep the government in power. So congratulations, JLP, congratulations, Jamaica, and big up to all my PNP comrades. We're still one Jamaica, and I will look to the time when your time will come, and we will also give you your full support if your government is performing.
And Duckworth is with you. But
Yes.
Duckworth, you have a word there to say?
Yes, I'd like to congratulate my cousin Bob Zagrange on her victory. And the prosperity in Jamaica looks very good. As a businessman, I plan to invest more into Jamaica and create an environment that is mutually beneficial to everyone in Jamaica. I'm in the agricultural business, and I feel that the government needs to put more efforts into self-sufficiency, especially with food.
Okay, thanks. Patrick, I want to swing to you on something, that matter of the numbers. How do you feel about the fact that, I think Lloyd B raised it as well, and maybe Desmond, 60% of the people didn't turn out to vote. There are now some discussions about whether the list is actually 2.2 million plus and so on, but so many people did not turn out to vote. How do you look at that, Patrick? Not hearing you, Patrick. Not hearing you. You're muted.
Sorry about that. The low trend has been around a long time. So it's not just this election.
No, the low trend hasn't been around a long time.
Yeah, of course.
The last time we had 37% in a COVID election.
Right. And before that, how much we had?
And 16 is
42.
there, 50%, 48%.
No, it was 42. 42% it was.
So we
2016.
So we're below 50% all the time. So my point though, you know, if the candidates of the JLP were performing, all of them were performing better, especially in the PNP eras, they would have perhaps get far more seats. Let us look at Westmoreland. The JLP did not manage Westmoreland properly. They went, after they won, they had internal fight as well, and they just did not manage Westmoreland properly. Because Westmoreland was also an area that any party could have taken. And they did not manage Westmoreland and Hanover. And so and even Portland, although Mrs. Vaz seemed to do a good job, she did not get into the real political heart of the matter, right? Because that was an era that people really want representation after 30 years of PNP, and it was so badly managed. But they did not get into the heart of the matter and how to captivate and how to win the voters, right? So the areas of the JLP that maintain itself outside of the performance overall, one, I understand they did a lot of enumeration of new voters. Two, they tried to connect with not just the labor rights, but the PNP people in the area. And generally speaking, they were very much united as a force. So all the areas where JLP, PNP took back seats, most of those areas is because the party unity was not there, and they were not doing what they need to do to connect. Because let's face the matter, the PNP really didn't have anything to offer. They did not. And
so before you come out on that, let me just go to ask Winnie if you want to take a comment at CD Winnie, and then want to come to Lloyd B. And what happened in St. James? And Lloyd B. But Winnie, go ahead.
The comment that you want me to read, Moses says that's called stagnant leadership, when after nearly a decade, the economy can't grow past 1%. leaving Jamaica with one of the weakest economies and one of the worst performing currencies. So,
All right, I'm going to come back to
yes.
this economy thing because Mary has something on the
Yes,
economy too.
before you move on, I want to make one comment on
Sure.
all of this. The PNP, they were playing snake and ladders while the JP was playing chess.
Okay. All right. All right, Winnie.
Just on this matter,
Can it-
on this matter, on this matter of low voter turnout. 1980, we saw a record turnout of 78%. And since then, we have been going down. Now, one of the things that it is for me, it is a sign of protest by the Jamaican people. Because what has happened over the years, the political parties have made so many promises, unfulfilled promises. And therefore, the people are protesting. And that is one of the ways that they are protesting, by turning their backs on the electoral system.
all right.
So it is up to the political parties and civil society too to do something to really regenerate the interest of those 60% into the electoral system.
Lord B, can you reflect on that and reflect on what I would love to know what happened in St. James? Because the PNP ran up against a wall in St. James where they needed a 2 or 3 seats if they were going to get victory.
Okay. Before I uh, delve into that, I just want to make the point again, because I think we are somewhat living in a dream world. The reality is that just a few thousand votes separated both parties in terms of the popular vote, right? And so
Yes.
when we look at
5,000.
this word mandate, just when we look at mandate, there was no overwhelming mandate, and there was no overwhelming rejection either of the PMP. What we saw was that both parties were able to fully energize their bases, right? And it was these bases that carried both parties to the results that they got. The JLP was able to outmaneuver the PMP because it had a stronger, sustained message.
Thank you very
It
much, Mr.
won the
Smith.
ear war. It won the ear war, undoubtedly so. On the ground, the PMP did much better in terms of organization, but the PMP would not have been able to outmaneuver the JLP in terms of financing their operations. This is another matter that comes into play because cash plays a very important thing on election day. So we need to look at those factors and not get carried away, because in real terms, we have a minority government again. We have
Yes.
a situation where the majority of Jamaicans have been turned off from the political system, and we need to take that more seriously. And it's not just a matter about apathy. As Desmond pointed
No.
out, people are actively saying a plague on both their houses. Now, to St. James, as you asked me, frankly, I have to be brutally frank here. When you look at St. James, which for many, many decades, more always leaned more to the PMP. What has happened? The fact of the matter is that the PMP has failed to put up candidates that can match what the JLP has on the table. St. James has always been one of those parishes that produces, for example, cabinet ministers traditionally. When you look at St. James at the moment, we have the JLP has Bartlett, it has Horace Chang, it has Malawu Fort, it previously had Omar Davis, who was a minister of state, so when you are going to go up against that sort of juggernaut, you have to find candidates that can compete with these people. And I am not going to It's not that I'm trying to demean those who ran for the PMP in the election, but one has to be frank and honest. You know, the PMP now needs to go back and look at the type of candidate that it is putting forward in St. James, because this is what has led to the diminution in the parish of St. James. There was a time when you had a Francis Turner, a Howard Cook, you know, a Derek Kelly. We don't have that anymore, and it is playing out in terms of what is happening in St. James. You can't put
Like,
up a string of political neophytes against a Chang and a Bartlett and you know, and so on. And part of the problem with St. James too is that the PMP has failed to engage the business class. It has failed to engage the business class, and so in most of the previous elections, it has not been able to attract meaningful funding. Let's look at what the economy is like in St. James. We have tourism, we have the BPO sector, and so on and so forth. And I don't see where the PMP candidates have been able to make any inroads into those areas in terms of attracting funding.
Thanks, Lord B.
Most of it
Desmond wanted to make a
went
comment.
and has been
Desmond?
going
and
to the
Lloyd B,
JP.
and in addition to what Lloyd B said, let us not rule out the transactional nature of the elections. A lot of people don't want to talk about this, but vote buying is active, you know. It's an active ingredient in today's politics. And it played a role in the result of this election also.
I just want to ask a question here to Lloyd B. Lloyd B, you sound to me like a socialist from your argument, the way you're talking about the winning of the JLP. A win is a win to me, but not to you, obviously. But the question I want to ask is, the numbers that were racked up in the voter turnout and the people who voted for PMP versus JLP in the Montego Bay area, do you think consisting in that JLP count for the seats that they won, that PMP people voted for the JLP?
I wouldn't necessarily think so. The fact of the matter is that in many instances over these past years, quite a few members of, or supporters rather, of the PMP have not been voting because they have not been sufficiently been excited by the candidates that have been offered to them. And that's a fact.
Thank you for that.
I see you have tried to frame me and to as a socialist.
No.
I don't know where that is going. I don't know where that is going, but the fact of the matter is that the reality in St. James is that over a period of time, the PMP has failed to sufficiently attract and maintain its base and newcomers in terms of voters too.
But you,
the equation. That goes without saying.
But like me,
I'm going to move on. I want to move on.
Like me, we want it to be.
Listen, I speak from experience, you know. Just a moment, Desmond. Desmond, I want to just make a point here to the person. I speak from experience because I ran in 2011 on a PMP ticket, and I ran in a constituency that was cut for the DNP, and I won. Why did I win? Because of the fact that the people of Montego Bay were excited in seeing a candidate that they could identify with.
The governor.
The problem that has been happening with the PMP is that it has not been doing enough groundwork to stand.
And let it be known that socialism is not a bad word.
It's dead.
It's not a bad word.
But it's dead.
I
I
am a
don't mind being
socialist.
called. I don't mind being
All right,
called a socialist.
we gotta move on. We gotta move on. We're
I
not going
don't
to get
mind being
into
called a socialist.
we're not going to get into a scrape here. I just want to ask where we want to take it up. There's this constant argument about what the low voter turnout means. Some people dismiss it, like I seen Patrick trying to say it's just been going on for a while. Some people argue that it's just general voter apathy, that Jamaicans don't care. There's an argument that Desmond and others make that it is because people, the promises, people have not been seeing the promises fulfilled. How is it Jamaica? How is Jamaica going to take off on that? Because we need better than 40% turning out to the polls. We need better than that.
There's something more fundamental than that, Franklin.
Right.
People have been talking about this 30% of what, 40% of what. Let's look at the list and see if the number of persons on the list are really all available to vote. What happened to all those who migrated? You will always have dead people on the list because some people die even the very day. Every day people die. So dead people will always be on the list. So the argument is there that we are not sure.
You wouldn't get much lower than 2 million or even 1.5. Look at what we got. Even that it would be only 50%. Even you purge that list.
Yes.
And I meet people all the time who indicated they're not going to vote. The polls indicated this time that there was 50 to 55% according to Dan Anderson poll who said that they would vote or they would consider voting, but even that didn't turn out.
Franklin, I think we're missing a point here though. Voting has become a transactional arrangement. And you talk to a lot of people, they say, what is in it for me? So I'm not going to vote unless something is in it for me. So the transactional arrangement is keeping back people. One. And two, people just generally turn off by both political parties. They figure them are the same, right? And the next thing, the whole voter education, civic education of the community is not being done. So some people not even come to the realization how important is it to vote, right? So all of those factors help to set back voting numbers. But we are not alone. We are not alone. It's a worldwide trend. If you look at it, even America, Canada, many of the elections are below 50%, 30%, 40%.
But if I may interject here, I am going to categorically say, without any poll like we done on this poll, that every single Labourite who was on that voters list went out to vote. So we're seeing, I think the problem lays.
How do you know that?
No, Mary.
I just said that this is my impression.
Well, say that.
I am telling you.
But it couldn't be, Mary, because it couldn't be.
Because you're so far away. That's why you think so.
50% already.
That's why you think so.
Based upon my community of Labourites, right? I know that all of us intended, because we knew that it was going to come down to the vote, and we knew that if we did not go out to vote, we were going to be out voted, even if 50% of the PMP voters turned out. So Labourites were of the spirit that, listen, it'll come down to the vote, and we are going out to vote, whether we have to crawl, we have to skip, we have to dance. We were going out to vote because every single vote was going to make the difference. And as you can see in the election, it was so tight, so close, so heatedly contested with whoever voted, the percentage that voted. But Labourites knew that every single Labourite vote mattered for us to edge out the PNP in this election. And that's what we did. We didn't.
What you're talking about, there is motivation.
We edged a victory. It was a victory that was edged. And it was edged by a determination and a patriotism to Jamaica that we saw performance. And if nobody else was going to take up that mantle to vote for performance, every single Labourite felt duty bound to do so.
All right. Okay. I want to go to line B. I'm getting a question. Some of the questions are coming up here, but I'm getting a question on WhatsApp. which is challenging you, Lloyd B, about minority government. And the person is saying this is not a minority government. And then I'm going to ask Winnie to take questions there and come on. Lloyd
You
B,
want
you're
me to
being
do it
challenged
first,
that this
like
is
how
not
it's
a
on the
minority
screen?
government.
It's on the
Before you
screen.
come in, Winnie, before you come
Yes.
in, Lloyd B, can you respond to that? The person is saying the fact that 40% vote doesn't mean it's a minority government. How could it be a minority government when it has the majority?
That is semantics. The
It
reality
is.
is that if you have 60% of the population not voting, I mean, that speaks for itself. We are talking about numbers. I mean, so I don't see it as a debatable topic. The reality is, of course, that we do have a democracy, and whichever party gets the majority of the votes forms the government.
No,
That goes without saying. But
absolutely.
on
If
the
it was
other
even
hand, and I'm sure that Mr. Dr. Holness, in his quieter moments, would be concerned that there are not sufficient numbers of Jamaicans, and the same thing would have applied to the PNP leadership if they had won, that so many Jamaicans are still not wanting to participate in the democratic process of electing their representatives and their government.
all right,
And
thank
I
you.
stand
And
by that.
Lloyd B,
Winnie, you
Lloyd
want to
B,
take Winnie, we're moving
in
forward. Hold
addition
on,
to that,
Desmond, hold on, we're moving forward. Winnie, you want
Okay,
to take
back
those
to
comments and
Moses
then we move
again.
forward?
Back to
Yeah.
Moses. Moses says, that's voter apathy born out of corruption fatigue when scandals are so baked into the political culture that Jamaicans lose trust, lose hope, and stop caring whether change ever comes.
what
That's
I am saying,
Moses. And Owen Richard says, how is a cast ballot considered spoiled?
Well, there are several conditions under which are well accepted under which a ballot can be determined as spoiled or not. And it's not one person determining that either.
Right.
All right.
Franklin, the point I'm making, one of the things you must remember, the 39.5% of voters who voted is not all of those. That is split between JLP and PNP.
PNP.
Absolutely, yes.
Yes.
Let us remember. Let us
Yes.
remember that.
Yes, it's a whole pile. It's a whole pile.
Yes.
Right.
All right.
But,
So
but
now,
Desmond,
And no,
that's why
not
I said
JLP
that,
and PNP. No, you're wrong there. It's JLP
Desmond,
But
and PNP and the few who voted for the third party.
Independent. The independent.
and the independents,
look,
Independents
But
and
people
third
voted
parties.
JLP or
if
PNP and
you
independent.
look, we,
Light B, go ahead, Light B.
no, I'm saying that we are all beating our head against the wall. But the fact is, if you look at the popular vote, it's just a few thousand votes separate the PNP from the JLP.
5,000. Absolutely.
Bear
right.
that in
yes,
mind. Look
So
at the popular
yes.
vote.
Yes.
Over
Franklin, I wanna
800
make
The
odd
seats is
people
just a few
voting.
seats separating
Look
them as
at
well.
the
One at a
look
time, one
at
at a time.
the,
Let's finish
just
the
a
point,
few
Light B. Mary, come in.
thousand votes separated.
right.
Right?
And
But
just
one
a
of the
few
That
point
is
I
seats
want
to
to
that is
make,
Light
that.
B.
one of the point is unfortunate Jamaica don't register its voters to any political parties. And so
That's unfortunate.
very unfortunate. So when Mary is giving the impression that all the laborites vote, I don't know
Yes.
how to get the numbers.
Now, Mary,
My
let's
Right?
throw that.
circle.
She
No,
pulled that
but
out of the air.
you see, we have to look at the stats, and there's no stats being created, reliable data to say. Just like at one time they said that the PNP have a 30% base and JLP 20%, right? I don't
26
know where
or
they get
something
those
like that.
figures from, right?
That's why I
Because
come
if
up with
that
the
was,
strongholds.
but not overall, but if that was the case, why is it many times they cannot ignite or get their base to vote? Right? And then
All right.
when you look at the so-called meetings that they have around the place, it's packed with people, which I think is a big waste of time and money. We should not be blocking halfway tree. We should not be blocking some sharp square when all we did is to bus people from Westmoreland, bus people from Kingston. It's a big waste of time,
It's part of the process
right?
for country.
No, no, no. All they need to do is remember it's constituency win election. All they need to do is to go in the constituency and have constituency meeting. in a
But
church.
that's not charismatic
Right?
enough. Please,
It,
we
no,
need
but
these things as
that's the
part
best
of
thing
our
to do. We're
election
wasting money.
emblems.
We're wasting
No,
money and time.
the Jamaican political culture calls for theatrics,
Absolutely.
Patrick, and you're not going to get
Absolutely.
away from that.
That's waste of
People,
money and time.
people like the idea of the mass meetings. They get to eat a food, they get a free ride, all the excitement, the colors, everything is
We
part of
love
our
it.
political
But
culture.
it's
We
the
love
same
it. We
thing
love
you
it.
are
That's going
So
to
recycling
go
let's
away
money.
now.
You are
let's look now
recycling.
to
But
where
even America is
You
doing
are
it, Patrick.
It's
recycling.
What are
not
you?
America.
going
No,
to
no, no.
go
In
America does it.
America, no.
That is
In
not
let's look
America,
that
now
is
Why
to
not
where
a
does
the
it matter
fundament.
PNP,
who
what
does
happens
it?
with
it
the
is
PNP now.
fundamental. In
Let's look
America,
now, let's look
Patrick,
now,
they book a
Patrick,
theater.
let's
that
look
is not a
now.
fundamental
Patrick,
point.
Patrick,
That
They don't
Lloyd
block the
B,
road.
what
I've never seen the road
Lloyd
blocked
B,
ever.
Patrick, we're gonna move.
what you need.
We've got to move on. We've got to move on from the carnival of the politics. Let's look now at what happens with the PNP. Um,
Yeah.
is
Mhm.
this
Listen
something
to
that should?
Simon first. You all sound like B. Make no SCENE. God is going to fix it.
Amen, brother.
Okay.
Okay. Um, yes, I just
That
was
is what is
asking
holding
now.
back black
So where
people.
does the PNP go now? We start with you, Desmond. What's the situation you would be expecting? What would you be expecting of
Well,
the PNP now? What should they be thinking of now?
well, what I expect the PNP to do is to come together now and present a strong opposition in Parliament, and to continue to deal with the issues affecting the lives of the people. The elections are over, But what we must do now, and I am expecting the PNP to do that, to continue to focus on those issues impacting the lives of the people. The other issue is that the opposition must keep on informing us and calling for the Integrity Commission to carry out the investigation. We have 11 members of parliament who are facing investigation for illicit enrichment. We don't know how many of those were re-elected. We want the opposition must continue to keep the focus on for the prime minister to get his name from under this dark cloud, right? And as I said, to ensure that we have good governance and that the issues affecting the lives of the people are dealt with.
Patrick?
Yeah, the first thing they have to change the leadership. You know, it
No.
not looking. No, whenever
Mary, allow
it,
him, please.
it,
Allow him,
yeah,
please.
whenever there is a loss in a general election like this, it's always good to change the leadership. Change
No, it is not always. It is not always good
all
to
right.
change the leadership whenever there's a lot.
Desmond, allow him, please.
Mark Bowling
Allow him.
needs to go
One at a time.
because
You just got to run a while ago.
right, because even this last election, the party machinery did seem a little outdated to me, right? Although they didn't have much funding. The message didn't resurrect much with the public. It just in the latter part when they come with the what was it again? The tax? When they come with the tax threshold. But there was no real message. A lot of flip-flopping and a lot of messages that were not connected to the
So what do you expect them to be doing now, Patrick?
Okay, so that's one. Change the leadership, one. And two, come up with
Sorry,
a
say
real
that again. I missed that.
change the
One,
leadership. Change
change
my
the leadership. Okay.
yes. Change my a matter of fact, the entire party leadership, I think, should change. Right? That's one. And two, come up with a message that the public, Jamaican public will really want. Right? And communicate better with the public. I think those are the three main things that they need to do.
Lloyd B.
I want to jump in here, Sir Mark, because
Hold on, let Lloyd B. We're coming to you next, Mary. We're coming to you after
yes,
Lloyd B. Lloyd B,
I
you
will
hearing?
continue to
Okay.
maintain, yes, I will continue to maintain that all politics is local. There was a time when the PNP used to spend a lot of time on the ground. They had political classes. They went into the constituencies and reasoned with the people, get a sense of what are their real needs and aspirations. And that is where you now begin to look at what is the best candidate to fit that situation. If we look at some of the results in this election, what happened over in Eastern Portland, what happened in Central Manchester, what happened in North Trelawney, it is because those candidates who won stayed with the people, stayed with their needs and aspirations, and were able to maintain their victory margin. This is part of the reality you have to face. Yes, the leadership matter is important, but I think we are not realizing that with the advent of social media, with all that is happening in this space now, the reality is that people want people who can represent them, effectively. And we must look at that in a serious way. I believe that, for example, what happened in central Manchester was because that young woman was able to effectively represent the constituency and was able to stave off the PNP juggernaut. What happened in North Trelawney again? Look at these young women who were able to stave off the PNP's bid to replace them. Look at what happened in Eastern Portland when an Isaac Buchanan coming out of nowhere was able to mash one of the vases. This is the reality of politics. We must look at the local environment in which politics operates and not just look at the macro side of politics, which sometimes is deceptive and misleading.
Thank you. Mary, before you come in, let me just run. Winnie, can you just run some comments you seen coming in there?
Let's see. I'm not seeing them. Yes.
All right.
Maris Murray says. Maris Murray.
Okay.
Go ahead, Franklin. You go.
No, go ahead, Winnie. You can see.
Okay. Maris Murray says the voter apathy is so high that it appears that it is mainly diehards who are going out to vote. And then Jermaine Foster says, Desmond, this is for you. Desmond, you're a PNP advocate, but you can never stop Andrew Holness. That's what Jermaine Foster says. Moses again, Mark Golding is a party leader, and the Jamaican people failed Jamaica by putting this corrupted government back into power, plain and simple, because they love their belly more than anything else. That's what Moses says. I am hoping that nobody listens. I'm hoping that nobody listens to Patrick and create more chaos by changing the leader. Look at what has happened. They have doubled the number and energized the party. You don't need another leadership race in that party now. You need cohesion. So don't listen to Patrick. He doesn't mind if your party mash up. Don't listen to him.
No. Nothing like that.
Mary, your time.
I was going to say that my husband is in Patrick's school, where he believes that the leadership should change to Lisa Anna because he's a Lisa.
No, not Lisa.
Don't ask me. A Labourite.
But Labourites can't determine how the PNP leadership
not
would
Lisa
go.
Anna though.
I would have to time up. If Lisa Anna runs for the PNP, I would have to time up in the house so that we don't go vote for her.
Let me tell you something. Lisa would be dead meat, but that's another story.
I think
don't listen to Labourites. PNP. All the PNP,
the PNP would never listen to Labourites to determine how their leadership should go.
Go fix your business yourself.
But I do believe that I support Mark Golding as a leader. I think that based upon his experience before politics and during politics, he does have the profile that would make a good leader. And that's what we want for Jamaica. We want the best. Even though I'm a Labourite, I'm a patriot first. We want to put up our best people. I do believe that Mark Golding is a solid leader. And if and when he's ever elected as Prime Minister of this country, he too would also make a good Prime Minister. I just have a problem with him and that dual citizenship thing, and that's something I him as a patriotic Jamaican. Mark,
Jamaican.
you need to look at that and choose Jamaica.
He's not a Jamaican.
I would go there. I would touch that.
Jamaican.
A point I'd
I don't understand you.
this.
Hold
Just
on.
because he's born in Jamaica doesn't mean it's
No, you can't say that about 16 times. Hold on. Let me just ask Duckworth, because we shouldn't be irresponsible to let something like that pass. Duckworth, what do you mean by he's not a Jamaican?
America is the only country in the world.
No, but not don't
He's
tell me
not.
about
He's
America.
born in
I'm just asking
Jamaica,
you.
but he's more
What does
of a British citizenship.
Yes, he's a British.
Duckworth.
You people
Did you
are wicked.
did you see the debate, and have you heard by now that Mr. Mark Golding was born in Jamaica?
That's a sham, Bonnie. That's what we're saying. We don't have birth.
No, hold on. What do you mean by a sham?
What do you mean by a sham?
What do you mean by
What-
a sham?
Up to age 45, he
Yes.
didn't have a Jamaican passport.
To say that you are.
Hold on, Patrick. Let me just hear what Mary is
Yes.
saying. Hold on,
What
Patrick.
we are saying, what the Granges are saying.
No, we're not just talking about what you're saying. We're saying facts, because this is
The
a serious
fact-
program.
the fact
we're
is,
talking
fact
about
number
what the
one.
facts are.
Jamaica
What the
does
facts
not
are.
have
Do you
birthright
accept that
citizenship.
Mr. Mark Golding was born in Jamaica?
It doesn't make him a Jamaica because we do not
I
have
don't
birthright
understand you. Where
citizenship.
you get that from?
He did not take.
You can look it
No,
up.
where do you get that from? That the fact that
The
you're born in Jamaica
Constitution.
doesn't make you Jamaica.
I got that from
No,
the
that-
Constitution, Mr. Mack. We do not have birthright citizenship. So not because you're born in Jamaican, you're not a
Mary,
Jamaican
Mary,
until
Mary.
you choose
Mary,
to
that is
become
so
a
ridiculous.
citizen.
I don't
That's
even
right.
know how to respond.
Hold
That
on,
is so
Franklin.
ridiculous. And then
But
try to say
Franklin.
that
May I-
the who use that argument.
May I say something, please?
Let's bring in Winnie, the fact
There is
checker.
a
Winnie,
gentleman. There
No,
is a gentleman in the
Mary,
jail
throw
right
that
now
aside
who's
and
also a
don't.
British citizen.
Mary,
he's not
throw that
running for
aside and
prime
don't
minister.
say your name. Lloyd B, I was speaking over you. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm saying that there's a gentleman in the JLP right now who is also a British citizen. And our constitution does allow for Commonwealth citizens to sit in
I
our
understand
parliament.
that. So the
So
question
I,
is,
More
I
than that.
think what we are doing
I'm
here
talking
is
about
beating
more
a
than that.
dead fish.
Lloyd B.
No, remember,
Tell me
this
what
is the
you-
Prime Minister. Is Andrew Holness told Mary that, you remember the Prime Minister
No, darling. I looked
during
it
the
up.
debate when
I looked it up.
Mark presented his birth
No, man, but we have
certificate,
to get more serious than that.
No, let
We
us
have to
No,
get
but
more
hold
serious
on.
than that.
Winnie,
We have to know that somebody
us
was
check the
born in
facts and
Jamaica
get
is
it
a
right.
Jamaican.
Does
And we
born
must-
in
and we must
Jamaica
dump
makes you a
that foolishness.
Jamaican?
Listen,
one of
listen,
the things, what,
the man did not.
one of
The
the
man did not claim Jamaican
No.
citizenship up to age
Hold
45.
on, Patrick.
Up to
Let
age
me hear you.
45,
Hold on, Patrick. Patrick,
he did not
slow
have a
down a little
Jamaican
bit. Slow down.
passport.
Patrick, let me
Explain
hear
that.
you.
I'm
Patrick,
saying,
slow down and let me hear you.
I'm saying
Let's
up to
hear you
age
now.
45, Mark did not have a Jamaican passport. How do you explain that?
That is true.
Right.
And Mr. Mack, are you saying that
Is he a
being born in
Jamaican,
Jamaica
Patrick?
make you a Jamaican
He did not.
citizen?
Patrick, is he a
did not-
Jamaican?
He did not claim it.
Mr.
Patrick,
Mack,
is he a Jamaican?
no.
He
Mr.
claimed it
Mack.
No,
recently.
Mary, you
claimed
just
it.
need to go
Frank,
get some
Frank, let me
facts on
just
that.
say
But I'm
this.
just asking
Let me
Patrick
just say this.
because we can't do this to our own Jamaican people.
Okay, a passport is a way of claiming your citizenship.
Patrick, is he a Jamaican?
Well, I'm not sure because I don't know if he has a Jamaican passport, and that's a way of claiming your citizenship. Your
Oh,
passport.
boy.
what about your birth
It's a
certificate?
disgrace. You know what is this
Yes,
proven to
he
me?
is. He is a
How
Jamaican.
divided and how
But it's
divided and how
obvious that he
stupid
never
we are by
goes
our
to
division.
No, Mr. Mack, the
No,
fact is you're born
Franklin.
in Jamaica to,
No,
to,
it's
to
amazing.
parents of a different
I almost
nationality.
consider it
You're not a
shameful.
Jamaican.
Hold on. I consider it shameful that somebody who was born in Jamaica.
Yes.
I mean, I, for example, knew his father personally, but it's a shame that we should be saying in Jamaica that one of our own, born here, given service here, is not a Jamaican.
He
Or we
was
don't
born
know.
to British
Or we
parents.
don't know.
Right. They were not Jamaican. His
They
parents
were not Jamaicans, Mr. Mack.
No,
This
I'm
is
not talking
Jamaica
about
does
his
not have
parents.
birthright citizenship.
It's
That
a
doesn't make
shame,
him
and I'm
or him
not
or
going to continue
anybody
on this.
else.
I'm not going to
Franklin.
continue on this, not
Franklin,
because
can I make a
there's
point,
anything
though?
to be afraid of, but because I
No,
don't
can
want
I
us
just
to
make a
sully
point?
ourselves
Can I just
by
make a point?
saying stupid things, including that.
I will look up the research and send it to
Can
you.
I make a point in this? If he was
No,
born, if he was
we
born,
made a point already. I'm going to just take a couple of more questions.
Franklin, if he
Somebody is
was
asking
born
about
in
what
Russia,
about Matthew Samuda, and I'm going to move on from that. JK Engineering, Franklin, make the lady speak, man. Moses says the contribution of Jamaica, the Constitution of Jamaica, Chapter 2, Section 3, order in the council is clear. Every person, well, we know that every person born in Jamaica has an automatic right to citizenship. We know that already. Ms. Mary Grange, I disagree with you. Mark Golding will never be Prime Minister of Jamaica because of his
Not a
participation
position?
in FinSAC.
And so,
We diehard JLP who were around during FinSAC never forget. All right. Okay.
The other thing, Franklin, that we must
And
look
I'm
at,
going to come to
that's
urgent issues for the administration. But Desmond, go ahead.
this is an urgent issue for the administration, is that what is the Prime Minister thinking now about his cabinet? Now, when you look at the previous cabinet, there are some elders, and what is he going to do about those newcomers who have solidified their position? Like, for example, the candidate there in central Manchester, in Clarendon, in Trelawney. Now, is he going to make space for new blood into the cabinet? So,
Cabinet in
for example,
Clarendon, you're talking about Miss Crawford in Manchester, central Manchester. Who are you mentioning in Clarendon? Rhoda May Crawford is who we were talking about in Clarendon, yes?
Yes, I'm talking about, well, is he going to maintain Morgan, who is in Clarendon there?
Yeah.
Clarendon South, yes. And
No, not central.
Not central. Morgan is not central, yeah?
Desmond. The JLP has a whole lot of people. The resources are numerous. They have real good, strong candidates who are cabinet material.
Like who, Patrick?
Who? Oh my God, we can name them. You have Favour Williams, you have Audrey Marks.
But she was in the cabinet already, you know.
Yes, I'm saying to you that they have a strong team to choose from. My question is, how is he gonna fit in all of these people? Because now that his pool has reduced, right? He has a whole lot of people to choose from. I don't think you have to worry about filling the gaps, filling the cabinet.
All right, Patrick. So what are the issues you see now, Patrick? So what's going on to issues? What are the issues you see now of importance to the administration? And then I come into Lloyd be on the same.
Okay, so one, they have to grow the economy. Agriculture did not grow in the last 5 years, right? Production, domestic food production had a little jump in about 2026 and 22. Now, the last couple of years, it has been not growing, lethargic. The food import has been on the rise. We are now at 1.6 billion. So, domestic food production is not growing. Import is growing. So, these are two, when you look at it, it's like a recipe for more disaster. Secondly, you move around, you see the amount of farmlands that are, and I'm just diving a little bit on agriculture. A lot of lands that are not occupied, right? On a positive side, the government did put a lot of money in incentives to incentivize farmers. And it's ironic again, over $1 billion, yet production are not moving. So the point is, where is the money going? So all of those things have to be considered. So I think the main point in this new administration is to grow the economy, especially agriculture.
Yeah, that 1% growth there can't deliver much.
No.
The 1% we've been having for 40 years.
So especially agriculture, more emphasis has to be placed on it. More emphasis has to be placed on manufacture too, right? We are still importing too many manufactured goods, food processing, and many of these things could be.
We're getting a disturbance from you at your end.
No, not my end.
No, not you, Mary.
Right. So that's my real thing. Grow the economy, and the perceived corruption. The perceived, I can't call it anything else because it has not been proven in most cases. But the perceived corruption must stop. Right?
Okay. Lord B wanted to come in, but let me show in this since we're still on the economy. Patrick, get your facts right. Straight. It's US 1.9 billion in imports versus only US 400 million in
No, man, it's
exports.
food. That's not. I'm
Yeah,
correct.
yeah.
1.6.
You were talking
Food.
about food, right?
Food,
You were talking
1.6.
about the
I'm
food
correct.
import bill
Yes.
and food export bill. Food import bill
And
at 1.6 billion.
export is 200.
And it's a staggering figure that you
Yeah.
produced in your magazine
Right.
last time, one of the stories that I saw last time.
Mm.
Lloyd B, what are the issues
Yes.
that you think that the new administration should tackle now?
Well, first of all, I think the government should seriously look at moving away from just tourism, which seems to be the star of the show for quite some time, and begin to look more seriously at the manufacturing sector. Patrick pointed out the whole business about agriculture. One aspect to why our agriculture has not been able to reach its best heights is that it does not have that cycle whereby our agricultural produce can in fact be um, value added and be given better shelf life and that sort of thing rather than just being taken to coronation market. So for me, that is a critical area. When we look at the manufacturing sector, it is still not where it ought to be. Secondly, I won't even go to the corruption side because that is part and parcel of our national psyche. And I don't know when that is going to change. Education.
We can't accept it as part of the national psyche. You know, we know
But,
that
but
corruption is rife.
yes, but
Corruption
when
is
you
rife,
listen,
but
when you listen to both sides of the fence, the JLP said that the PMP used to do it, so nothing wrong with it. The PMP said the same thing. Where do we go from there? Unless civil society and the rest of the Jamaican society that is not blindly partisan is going to seek to get more involved in this process by way of public education and advocacy to change that scenario. So I don't hold out much hope right now, I'm sorry to say. The other aspect to me is education.
yeah, we got 20
We are not
seconds. 20
we are
seconds,
not
might be.
we are not equipping our young people to have those type of jobs that can pay them well. We are still creating to me a plantocracy still out there where we have low wages and people are not able to meet their various demands. Yes, unemployment is down, but so what? People need to have a better standard of living. And the only way that's going to happen is if we have a more educated and a more skilled workforce. So to
Thank
me,
you. Mary, your 20 seconds. Your last words on 20 seconds. What's needed now from the administration?
Agriculture and construction, I believe, are key to building the Jamaican economy. And the government, I believe, the issues have been replaced. I like the fact of the balance in the house right now, where we have 28 to 35. I don't like what happened before, where we had 14 to whatever. I like this equality that is now in the house. I feel better represented as a Jamaican citizen.
Thank you. Before we go, last week, frankly speaking, in our discussions, one of us used an entirely inappropriate word to describe people with disabilities. Some among the community of disabled persons took great offense. Frankly speaking, we apologize and we insist no ill will was meant. We're very sorry about that. That's our show for this week. Again, we encourage you to subscribe to the Frankly Speaking Jamaica YouTube channel if you have not done so as yet. Remember, you or your friends, family can watch this podcast at your convenience at any time by going to the YouTube channel. Thanks again to Lloyd B. Smith, who was accused here. Lloyd B., we should have defended you. And Patrick Maitland, who was not accused and who was not an accuser. Thanks to Winnie Anderson Brown and Desmond Richards, our regular guests, our regular panelists. We really appreciate it, Desmond and Winnie. Special thanks to Prodigal Mary and Duckworth for turning up today. Thanks to Joshua Black and to you, our viewers and listeners, without whom the show would be of no use. I'm Franklin McKnight. Until then.
Why that come to me? Not a citizen.